Everyone, this is Villain's Man, wrapping up session 15 of the Ancient War Reborn. I'm your DM, JVD.
Guys, I'm Evan the Great from the Villain's Demand, playing Luna Silverstring, and we just got Froststruck.
Frostbitten.
I'm the Bearded Wonder with the Villain's Demand. I'm playing Vesper Nork, the Moon Elf.
I am Smiley, playing Ulrich Whitehammer. It technically got struck by a hill giant, not a frost giant.
Vesper, give me the recap.
That's gave a recap, man.
I know, but this is the fourth one for this session. There's only 3 of you. So the dice said 3.
Don't
You
worry,
were 4 and 3
starts off
and
next
4. So
Alright, so after our battles in the wheat field, we had Luda here turn into a giant eagle,
That was cool.
and we rode her 2
Did you
miles.
now?
We did.
You rode her
hard,
2 miles.
hard.
Can I just say, if we had our skills.
And then we were on this wall. We saw some giants with this big battering ram thing. They were just hammering at this wall trying to get through. And then out of nowhere, this frost giant comes and starts fighting. We assume on our side, so we all decided to go down the wall and help him fight these giants off.
To be fair, or just assumed at this point he was already dead.
you guys turn around, and between you and this frost giant, he's looking at you all wild, is your damaged, beat up Rupert, your mechanical bear lord, and a dead hill giant, and he's just breathing heavy. And he starts to slow down, and he's just looking at you guys. And in common, he tells you, "Well fought, small folk."
I never thought I'd say this on a frost giant, but well met as well.
Roll me perceptions, hearing.
Fucking A. Why am I rolling dice at this point in time?
Perception, hearing.
I'm still unconscious.
Okay. Oh yeah. No. They healed you up
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
because he said he was.
Oh, okay.
During the end of this battle.
25.
13.
You guys start to hear everybody above the wall. Harshnag. It's Harshnag. Roll me a history knowledge. You get advantage, Ori.
That just slipped on my hand.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, so it's at least 16?
No, 14.
You need 15 or more. In hushed tones in the north, you've heard of Harshnag the Grim, a good alive frost giant who's known for defending small folk against rampaging giants, no matter what the kind.
New character!
Yeah. That's my character.
He got her.
He's very talked about in hushed tones throughout the north, throughout town.
I'll give him a dwarven salute.
He just looks at you like he doesn't, doesn't care that you're saluting him. There's a reason he's called the Grim.
More like just like well fought.
He says, "Can any of you heal my wounds?" He's like, "I must be on my way."
Unfortunately, we're all tapped up from the hour or 2 we spent up on the wall.
He kind of snorts. And he slings off this heavy backpack, and he starts getting furs and whatnot, and kind of heals some of, starts wrapping up some of the wounds, and he just takes a big heavy, just drops down on the ground.
At this point in time, I don't think we ever picked up a healing potion.
I don't think anybody has.
He's taking care of himself. Luda, you're alive. That's a bonus.
Yeah.
After being creamed by this hill giant,
Or's gonna look around, take everything in, and then it kind of hits him. He still is fucking alive, and that shit was real.
you're looking around, you're looking at a lot of people who are in amazement up at the wall, and they're looking over.
Or's is gonna give a roar of victory, and then start fixing up Rupert so Rupert can start moving himself again.
Okay. So you just leave Rupert where it's at, start fixing him. That takes you a long rest, alright?
To fully repair him, yes.
Yeah, okay. What about the rest of you guys? I mean, you're standing in front of this frost giant, and he's got this magnificent great axe.
But
He just
sat
kind
down,
of
right?
sits down and starts taking furs and stuff and cleaning his wounds from these giants.
I just go sit by him.
I'll tell him that when I'm done, I should be able to heal him.
You'll hear a couple people from the wall yelling at you guys, "Oh, you crazy fools!" And some of them are like, "That was so brave of you guys." Some people are like, "You're stupid." I mean,
I was going.
We're the Greenfields Company.
We're both brave and stupid alike.
and you hear a bunch of cheers.
I said we grow in numbers. I look at the frost giant.
The frost giant says, "Yes, brave, but
I'm stupid.
stupid."
I thought you were saying yes to
It's a thin line, isn't it?
No, that's synonymous with those.
You sit beside you, Vesper, and he just kind of looks at you and gives you a nod, but his expression on his face is, no pun intended, cold.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's just a grim look, and he just nods at you.
I'll just sit beside him and I kind of like, get my, kind of be reloading my hand crossbow, tell him thanks, and just sit there and kind of take a break because we've been fighting for a while, so we need a breather.
He just he gives you a nod. Bustier, she's gonna climb down the wall. And she's kind of terrified to even get close,
Right.
and she's just like,
Bustier, you're 10 feet from a dragon. You're gonna handle a frost giant.
the frost giant looks very vicious. Though.
She kind of, and so she'll go beside you and try to patch you up some.
Yeah, I put my arm around her and pull her in.
Uh,
Tell her good job.
Harshnag, he looks at you and he tells you it's good to have people to care about. He gives you something to fight for.
This is very true.
Anybody got anything they want to say to this guy?
It's one of those things where I don't know what to say.
Every time you look, there's people just like over the wall, just looking at him.
I just ask him because we're all taking
very
a
casual
little breather here, right?
Yeah.
So I just be like,
so what brings you down?
Can you tell us anything about all these giant attacks that have been happening around here?
He tells you there isn't much going on. The ordning is broken.
I wouldn't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Roll me a religious knowledge.
I'll just tell you straight up, I don't know what that is.
Or I can tell you right now.
15? I mean,
you know the ordning is the casting of the giants. It's their hierarchy.
I drop my tools.
You see Ord's face go pale, and he looks scared.
No, I'll ask.
Roll me a religious knowledge. You might actually know what the ordning is, being a harper.
Nope.
No, you don't. But yeah, he tells you the ordning's broken. He's like, the giant hierarchy is in chaos.
So you need to tell me that's why every hill giant, fire giant, and everything else has been going apeshit crazy around here.
Said, everyone's looking for favor from the giant gods. He says, it's coming from the south, from the deep jungles. And I've come across some signs of some hill giants south of here. Said I picked up their trail around the Chantar River. And you both know that's where you seen these rafts at.
Were they rafts by any chance? We saw some rafts a while back.
He said, yes, when I come across the river, I noticed the rafts. He's like, I picked up their trail and followed it forever. And then I lost him in the marsh.
I remember the moss. It's where you put the goblin top.
It's in the Highmore. No.
Oh, okay.
This is the
So I
Highmore.
was thinking-
You know, the Highmore is like a marsh area that covers like hundreds and hundreds of miles. He's like, I lost your tracks there. He's like, I was heading to the spine of the world, and I noticed its fire off in the distance, and knew trouble was amiss. Being friends of the lords in Waterdeep, I thought I'd investigate, and it was a good thing I did.
Very true.
He's like, I'm sure this was the giants I was tracking down.
To be fair, they also apparently raided somebody's birthday party as well.
He says, well, that's unfortunate.
You once never had the birthday party raided.
He says the giants tend not to care about one's name day.
It's the best excuse to get drunk, really. It's reoccurring.
And he just kind of looks at you like none of that matters.
I'll just be like, at least it doesn't have anything to do with dragons.
Speaking of which, have you heard anything about dragons recently?
He says, no. I
Oh,
do
no,
not know
that's
what
sad.
you're talking about.
The court is moving north and whatnot.
The cult
Of the dragon.
of the dragon.
Tiamat worshippers.
Yeah, they worship Tiamat. Yeah.
They have some nice little lizards in the ranks right now.
Tells you they're in these lands.
Aye, we followed them up here, that's what we're here.
That makes no sense.
It doesn't. That's what we're trying
Precisely.
to figure out.
That's the, it might be tied to the ordering and whatnot.
He kind of wipes his brow and he takes a deep breath and he's like, says, I plan on tracking these hill giants. He's like, I have an idea of maybe why they're doing this. He's like, I've not worked with a band of small folk in quite a long time. He was like, but you guys seem crazy enough to
But even stupid.
follow me, indeed, to follow these hill giants. He's
Honestly,
like, I think they might give me some of the answers I'm looking for.
I'm more than happy to.
we should be able to hit you up here pretty soon. And Rufus should be up to go as well, not Pat and I, middle bearer.
Fixing to raise the Greenfield Company flag.
I assumed you already were doing it, like raise it up on the wall and shit.
He tells you, I noticed when I mentioned these rafts, there was a flicker of knowing in your eyes. Have you come across these hill
I even
giants?
passed them, not
We came
the,
across them on the river.
we came
From
across
the
the
south.
raft, south of Botter's Gate.
They
Between-
seem to.
Between here and Botter's Gate, we were beset by hill giants themselves.
Mm.
They're
But the
taking-
rafts were south of it.
Did
Tell
these
us their food.
hill giants attack any of the towns in the south?
Several places
Yes.
from what I was told. That's like the name day raid. That was horrible, but no one died. From what I can understand, they became part of the party.
He tells you the tracks that I came down was literally a clan. He's like, the force here was nothing compared to the tracks that I had lost.
Yeah, they've been doing this. They attack Nightstone,
Those are fire giants.
Fire Giants.
Fire giants attacked Nightstone. There was a
Nightstone.
giant black sword blade in the ground, and they dug it up.
But they did have an army of orcs.
They've been
and stuff
taking
with them, too.
mechanical construction bits from across the area. What I think at the time they were a giant golem or some shit. Kind of like Rupert here, but with a sword.
He looks at you, he's like, fire giants have been found this far south.
Aye, and frost giants all the way down the Sword Coast and back. They're right in the same place over and over again.
He tells you, this seems to be worse than what I
It
thought.
gets better. We were getting a ride by a cloud giant water deep. It's fucking crazy.
The cloud giant, you said.
Aye,
Who may this cloud giant be?
it seemed bright enough to chop. Zephyros.
Yes.
Zephyros!
He was 18 foot tall.
He tells you, Ivanhoe Zephyros does not like to meddle in the affairs of the small folk, but he does see the good in small folk. If he has met with you guys, things must be quite dire for him to even aid you.
They are quite dire. And I'll have Luda show them the map of the attacks.
Just kind of what you marked down.
Oh yeah, I started 16 towns.
Yeah,
we
he's
know
all, he's all like, this map looks like this big in his head.
Oh my god, I forget it's like a little band-aid. He's
Can
like,
I do my prestidigitation like a big one made of light?
Sure, yeah.
Just like along the
Projector
wall.
on the wall.
He's like, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of showing where everything's been happening.
yeah.
Yeah, he tells you the fire giants don't concern him. He says he don't expect them to do a lot of damage if they're looking for things. More likely they will just take what they want and leave.
I'm more worried about what they want. Like what it can be used for.
He agrees. He tells you that concerns me.
Because-
Obviously, if they're looking for something, it's obviously to gain favor with the gods.
Because from the size of the sword blade, whatever the hell they're doing, it has to be the size of a tower. something that big with a bloody sword. I mean, big compared to you.
He tells you there's a lot that I need to look into.
Hey,
He tells you, he said, though this is what I was looking for, it almost became a detour on my way to the spine of the world, but now that it's here, I see that I need to put an end to this. It's like, obviously, if these giants are brave enough to attack the Goldenfields, obviously, it's worth looking into. This could only get worse. He's like, and if these attacks that you're showing me are as coordinated as they seem, it could spell doom for a lot of the towns. He said, if these hill giants are put in check, they will literally eat the land, and there'll be nothing to graze on for you small folk. And he says, so at first light, we will leave.
I agree completely.
So there are no objections from you guys following him.
God no.
I'll be ready.
He's an honorary member of the Greenfield Company.
He's already an honorary member.
Arden, you're fired! You never showed the bloody hell out.
Is he even still alive?
I hope so. Oh, I feel so bad.
Who?
Arden. The one that just poofed off.
Well,
That boy's gonna be a hero one
You
of
want
these
to see if that
days.
young boy wants to go?
Yeah, we'll yell at the wall and be like,
Oh,
where's Arden?
he's
What's
only
his last
one
name?"
shot by
well,
his
Arden was further away
South,
from
yeah.
you guys.
Let's
So,
bring him.
I
He
mean,
wants to
they're
go.
going to watch their walls.
Yeah.
He's trustworthy, man.
Yeah, but what's going to bring Arden?
Okay, so you got to take a long rest to
Yeah.
fix Rupert, and then you're also going to have to rest up yourself.
It says I can fix him as part of a long rest.
Okay. Yeah, but you still got to sleep for your spells also, too.
That I was one of those says that's part of my long rest. I can fix him.
Okay, that's fair enough. By morning, you guys rest up. You come back over the wall
I'm going to inform.
because Harshnag will not. He will stay on this side of the wall.
I need to inform the people within that we're leaving to chase down the giants.
He won't stop you from doing that,
So I want to find.
but he will not go over the
Yeah,
wall
I
himself.
I want to find Nordathan, this little one.
Okay. Who is like literally 3 miles from this spot.
Oh, I'm right in there on the river.
That's fine.
Is he still alive? That's the question.
Apparently, where that was I were actually seeking out the fights, to clarify.
Yeah, you were like literally just randomly running into guys.
Yeah, we weren't looking for the fights.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to get the boy.
That's what we did.
Everyone else was defending.
Are you gonna like send word for him?
Yeah, see where he's at. Tell him I'm looking for him.
Evan's like, I
By,
want
by the
somebody.
time you find him, your story of stupidity and bravery, which seem to run hand in hand with you, especially Luda,
Or
has
just
gotten
no
to
longer.
him, and he's a little upset that you did not come get him to join the Greenfield Company.
You should have been with us already.
Come
You should have
on.
been looking for the fight.
What's his name again? I forget his name.
Never take what advice here that's very poor.
Overall, you're gathering that not only were these groups of ogres and goblins and bugbears in the wheat fields, but they were sneaking over the wall, and it's come to be known that where you guys were was a distraction. And these small groups were climbing over the wall while this was going on, stealing what food they could and escaping with it. And at a certain time, these giants were meant to leave. Now, if they left before they needed to, no one can tell. But they are finding dead bugbears, dead goblins, ogres, and even commoners and guards along the walls. So, I mean, this place kind of took a small hit during all of this. So, you're going to gather him up,
Yep,
and you're going to take him with you.
yep.
Erden
You're gonna
Shrunk.
get that boy.
When you tell him to come with you,
I was young like him once, and
You almost died. A
are you
lot.
guys gathering supplies? What little you can get here?
yeah.
You're allowed to take whatever you need for supplies, food wise, from the Goldenfields. Nordathan, he's like, what should we tell the people in Waterdeep? I mean, you're just leaving.
But it's the captain of the guard.
And this is for your post. He's captain of your post.
We were attacked by hill giants. We're going in pursuit with Harshnag, who has been tracking them.
But we were just supposed to stay here until we got orders of what the lords wanted us to do.
And once we're done, we'll be coming back, I would imagine. Unless we get whisked away again by another cloud giant.
He's like, I don't even like the fact that you're leaving with the frost giant, even though he's known. No one has seen him for decades.
Well, it seems like a good
He said it was coming up from the jungles to the south.
He tells you guys, and he looks at you, he's like, no good dwarf can trust a giant.
No good dwarf can either let them run away after attacking their home.
That's a good point.
I've already done it
He
once.
says, well, when you find these giants, he's like, you come back alive. He said, don't be dumb enough to fight them on your own. I don't care how big he is. He said, you find him, and then you come get reinforcement.
I think we have a way of contacting reinforcements. Right, Ruta?
Yeah, Luda can get a hold of him.
Yeah, if I'm not sleeping.
Yeah. If she's conscious.
And by sleeping, she means dead.
I'm
just
you
going
know
clear,
the
but
voice in
you're
your
right.
head? That's us asking for reinforcements.
He tells you all right. He'll put a little faith in you.
She can do magics.
So you gather up Erden Shush. I need to write his name down so I can stop looking.
Tell him it's time to earn his keep in the Greenfields Company if he wants to become a member.
So you guys
I'm
gather
gonna
him
start
up.
training this guy to
Yeah.
be something.
You travel along the wall, and off in the distance, he sees Harshnag. And you guys keep walking, and all of a sudden you notice he's not behind you anymore. You turn around, and he's like 200 feet behind you guys, and he's just like, scared, pointing towards Harshnag.
Hey, that's Harshnag.
I'm gonna go back up to him and just like slap the shit out of him.
He kind of shakes his head, he blinks at you. He's like, we're going with that?
If you want to be part of Greenfield Company, you gotta grow some fucking balls.
We got a ride from a cloud giant. We got sit on by a green giant. And a red one and a black one and a white one. This is normal. Really.
He's looking at you guys all crazy.
You sure you want to go to Greenfields Company?
We did jump off the wall to fight giants.
He's terrified.
It's okay. If you don't want to go, that's fine.
We'll just know that Arden Shush is a.
I give it the talk.
That's
One
one
person, live your life out as an average guard, or you can join the Greenfield Company and become legendary, and they'll know your name like they know his name. I pointed that.
Roll your perception.
Luther, you won't get the boy killed if he's not ready.
We would train him.
I just like to insult people until they do it.
You are still being trained yourself.
I've got better.
Not that much better. I mean, you only ate.
He's coming.
You're coming?
Do you think you're ready? Because this isn't like we're going off to a giant's nest.
We're going to die. Are
There's-
you ready for that?
You should never throw your life on the line for legend and glory. There's nothing in it, not worth that living and dying for.
Okay, so you
I'm
guys.
completely opposite. What
Okay,
he
yeah,
said.
you guys are completely opposite of each other right now. So Vesper and Ord, you guys are trying to push him away, correct?
Yeah.
Luda, you're trying to get him to come with you.
I don't want him to die.
Okay.
I don't want him to die either, but
Okay, you're saying you're going to build him up, and you're like, no, he's not ready.
No, I'm saying if he thinks he's not ready. Legend and glory is not worth dying for.
And you see that he's obviously scared.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the thing is, I'll be like, you were so ready to go with us, and we're fighting dragons, and you can't even handle a frost giant.
Auguste will put her hand on your shoulder. She's like, I wasn't ready either. I didn't fight that dragon. He's like, these things take time.
Exactly. And I don't want to take the boy in the middle of a nest of hill giants.
True.
It has to give me help.
So, I mean, she's...
If he wants to
Auguste
go,
is siding with Luda. She's like,
Okay.
these are things that take time to build up.
if he wants to go, I'm not going to stop the boy. But if he doesn't, if he's not, we've sort of tried to force him or chide him on to get him to do it.
What's the frost giant's name?
Harshnag.
Harshnag? Okay, I thought so.
You hear
tell him.
doom, doom, and he's walking y'all's guys' way.
I'm just going to tell him, be like, listen, we're going with Harshnag, and we don't have a lot of time to waste. because his attacks are getting worse. So if you're coming, come on. If you're staying, stay.
Now, he's a giant, so he can hear
Yeah.
this, and he walks up and he leans up on the wall and he puts his hands on it and he's looking at you guys, what's the hold up? And you see him and he's all just visibly shaking.
Inspire him.
You need it, you're inspiring,
Inspire.
I inspired him.
because it's full
You're
of
the one
dice
to go,
right
so
now.
I'm just saying, inspire him.
Roll me perception sight.
All of it.
You don't have to take disadvantage on this one word.
11 again.
I got a 7.
That's all you need. That's not what you need. You need 10.
I got 11 and Arduski got 17.
Okay, everybody but Ord sees that
He's wet himself.
Erdan has wet himself in the face of this hill giant. And he says, Harshnag really says, boy, that'll get you nowhere out in the wilderness. And he's just like, oh my God.
I'm just gonna pat him on the shoulder and be like, have fun in Goldenfields. And get ready to go.
Train up. Practice, fight.
He's not even looking at you. Like you slap him on the shoulder, he looks at you and he keeps looking at this giant. And he just doesn't know what to say. And Harshnag's like, maybe she's right, little one. Maybe you're not built for this. And he just kind of gives him this wicked grin, and he turns and walks away from the wall. Erdan and Shush can only just look at him in awe and fear as this frost giant walks right. He says, takes his axe and he waves it forward like he's pointing at you guys. And he's like, come, we're wasting time.
We gotta go, buddy.
Yep.
And there's like the dragons were bigger.
Guys, throw a rope over, climb down the wall.
Get my flag out. Slam it by this kid's feet. I said, when I come back, you better be ready.
Why do you put the flag at his feet for?
He
He's
just
part of
missed
the-
there.
He's part of the Greenfield Company.
Himself, so.
I'm letting him know you're going to support these colors. You got to get ready while we're
So you're
gone.
leaving the
The
flag
green
with
and
him?
brown.
I'm telling him to fly it here.
Am I going to have to make another bloody flag?
Yes, you're going to have to.
Damn it all!
Is he still scared?
He's
Yeah,
terrified.
he's terrified.
As you guys are climbing over the wall, he doesn't know what to do. I rolled 4 for him.
That's why I gave him the flag. I'm like, you ain't ready yet, but when we come back, you better be ready. So you better
Look,
start
boy,
training.
you've got greatness in you. And I like fist going over the wall.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's not coming.
And a
He's
little
Yeah, I know, he's
terrified.
not.
That's why we're leaving the
Oh,
flag with him.
I'll be like, yeah, you got greatness, and apparently a lot of piss.
Hey, so you're leaving the flag here with him?
Yes.
Climbing over the wall.
Yep.
You guys go to catch up with Harshnag. He walks at a pace that you guys can keep up with him because he understands you guys are smaller than him.
Right.
And you guys look back and Shushk is at the wall just looking. Just watching you guys walk away, as are a lot of other people that's gathered to watch you guys leave.
Come back. I hope that place is going to be Greenfield Company.
I don't want to stop.
They're like, man, they're so brave. But they're thinking, like they're all crying.
Yeah. Wow, I wish we could beat these guys.
Wish I was that stupid.
At this point in time, I'll pull my bear out of my bag.
You've got Rupert prepared, ready to roll.
Roll out.
He tells you
Auto bear, roll
guys,
out.
he's following the tracks and he's like, we're gonna follow the river. He was like, obviously these tracks lead this way. And he's like, I imagine for such a huge group of giants, they need a good source to drink off of.
I'm so glad I gave it a swim speed.
You're gonna polymorph into a dolphin and jump in the river.
I can actually start to a reef shark.
But have you ever seen shark?
No, but I want to see one out here.
Water's Gate, both port cities, sharks in the waters, very possible.
I
Might have seen one dead in the market.
Yeah.
Maybe,
You'd be dead.
Maybe
Reef
that's
shark.
Well, the way I see this though is to understand the animal, you have to
You have
see
to
some
see it.
interaction with it. Like he can turn into a
the
bear
polymorph though
Yeah.
is
or a hawk.
Next level tree ant, bitches.
That's not a beast.
I seen one there.
Yeah. Well,
Well, the fun of polymorph is like it just turns into all these wacky things.
Well, that's what I'm only doing stuff I've seen.
What about
That-
yeah, I mean that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like you can't say like, man, I turned into a gremlin. You ever seen a gremlin?
Yeah.
You can't turn into a gremlin. You can only turn into animals.
But I'm just saying, you
Beast.
gotta have some understanding of what you're turning into.
Well, I always thought about it. You always.
South Park?
I don't know. Have you ever seen one?
I don't know. So far, we're
But
good.
how many games is there Tyrannosaurus Rex or
Hey,
a
you-
giant ape in?
You could have
That's true, but that's just the way I see it. I mean, you gotta have an understanding of something to turn into it, though. I mean, like,
Well, I think like you hear the stories, all this stuff, and like that's what you use to feed the spell.
yeah, but here's the thing, though. You're like, oh, I seen this Tyrannosaurus Rex. It looked like a dragon. Oh, then you're thinking, hey, a dragon, not a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Right.
I mean, you gotta think when you hear tales, people sometimes
Yeah,
exaggerate.
elaborate.
Yeah, you know. So, so you got to traveling with Harshnag. Unless you ask him something, he's very quiet. He doesn't say a whole lot to any of you guys.
I mean, I'll make some conversation, I guess.
I mean, what are you gonna ask him?
I'll just ask him, like, you know, so where do you come from, Harshnag?
The north.
You ask him that, he tells you, my past has nothing to do with the future.
I'll be like, my past has a lot to do with my future.
He says, does it hold you back?
Sometimes.
Why?
Revenge is a nasty business.
He said, revenge in life will get you nowhere. He says, what happens when you get that revenge? He says,
Feel
then
better.
what?
I'll feel better.
Will you?
You know what that's about?
He says, will it be worth all the effort and strength that you put into it? He says, what if you never get your revenge? He says, you small folk hold that in such high regard. He said, for years and years and years of your life, you don't live such a long time. He says, what if you never get it? Is it worth it?
I don't know. I'm only 70. I got quite a few years left to get.
He says, as an elf, you do. He says, us giants sometimes live as long as you. He was like, but you have to understand there's more to life than just revenge.
I also hope to save my mother.
He said, family is a good thing. He's like, but how long has it been since you've seen her?
It's been a while.
He says, do you think you'll ever see her again?
Probably not.
He said, then is it worth holding on to?
Sometimes hope's all you got.
He says, it's true, but I've seen a lot of your people hang on to hope and die.
I've almost died a few times already.
Then maybe you should ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth coming here with me and not knowing what you're facing and not knowing me? I came to your aid. You don't know me.
I don't know you, but
I think that's
sometimes you
probably
have to
fun.
take a leap of faith.
And plus, what find anything out about the dragons would have to either.
Thinking about what Leo said back in the day.
So,
Faith.
so you gotta have faith. And you've also heard a lot about fate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says those are good things. He's like, but such things will get you killed.
Well, you only live, you know, for so long, so why not have a little fun while you live?
At least when he died, it'll be quiet.
He
Maybe not fast,
said, so now, if you go to live a life with these things to be known, for renown, to be remembered, it's like those things to me are worth it. He said, if you're going to do something, make a mark. He said, go down in history.
Well, perhaps I will.
He said, you know, sometimes don't follow the guidelines that maybe, you know, your family has laid out for you. That don't live up to things that you're expected just to do. He's like, go beyond your means sometimes. He said,
I can agree with that 110%.
He said if I was to go by what was expected of me, I would have never left the north. I'd never seen the land south. Like, I would have never known what sand between your feet feels like.
I never would have built Rupert on the cannon or
And he
learned
said,
magic.
take it from the odd bearded folk. It's like, I've never encountered a dwarf like you before.
I
He
can see
said,
that.
most of your kind wouldn't even walk beside me unless they knew me.
You walked to us. You saved us.
He said,
No one has nothing to do with it.
He said, I wasn't trying to save you. He said, I was trying to fend off the giants to see where they came from.
That's fair enough with me. It's not what you tried to do, it's what you did.
Fair
And sometimes that means more than what you intend.
And such things can be seen through eyes as good things. Not all people that are meant to be evil are evil.
And some things that can be seen as bad as well.
He said, agreed. Like I said, I mean, the day goes on. If you don't talk to Harshnag, Harshnag don't talk. He's called the Grim for a reason. You've gathered that.
Have you been up to Adbar?
Agbar, he knows of it. He's never been there. It's like, I have stayed away from the north for a good 50 years.
Fair enough.
He's like, I know of the battle in the north. He's like, I know of its wars. He was like, but I realized there's much more to life than just a cold war.
Nah. I just like to make things to myself.
Would you feel that you kind of have a kinship with this guy?
Very much. for
Because
making
he's very much like you. He's not what you would believe a frost giant to be, much like you are not what you would think a dwarf is. Most people see you and they're like, hey, a dwarf, and then you're totally not what dwarves usually are. And this guy is exactly what this
In fact, we talk about war, one of my clap when I goes, I'm a bloody bastard, I'm not even a damn fighter.
You gonna make it there, Evan?
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking awfully sleepy there, buddy. So, as the days go on, if you don't talk to Harshnag, he's very straightforward getting to the point.
Is
So-
Roland with us?
Yeah, I mean, no, yeah, Roland's with you.
I just
He's
don't-
very taken aback by the whole thing.
We left
Because
him
I
there.
would be hilarious if we had left him there. But
No, he's with you
We
guys.
just were gonna take Arden, but we forgot
But
about
I mean, the way he would
He
see
stayed
it,
back
his
there
mother's
in Arden.
growl, so he can completely relate to what he's saying.
Yeah.
You know, don't judge a book by its cover, and unless you decide to open up and learn it. So, I mean, he's in the same boat. He understands exactly where Harshnag's coming from.
I will just kind of passively talk about, like, just random things that led us here.
You're gonna tell him your story.
Yeah.
Um,
Bring us how my weapons was used against it.
He
And
listens.
that's why I kind of came up here, was to make amends.
You can see that when you bring up your weapon, he is very interested in such a thing, but he doesn't ask about it. When you talk about what led you to this moment in your past, what got you guys to this point, he doesn't talk about his past.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you try to get him to talk about it, he doesn't talk about it.
And I understand that. I'm
That's
not
cool.
prying into him.
Yeah, we won't pry into his business.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have gathered on.
Yeah, I'm
he
giving him.
doesn't.
He helps save that town. We owe him that much.
Pretty much,
But-
yeah. Days and days go on, and you travel with him north. You follow the river, and every now and then you'll come across a dead hobgoblin. And you search it over, and you can tell it's died from its wounds. And you can clearly,
Is this the one that I shot?
I mean, it's from arrows and
Oh,
whatnot.
man, I mean.
But you can clearly tell that it was from your battle and it's died from its wounds. You'll see some foodstuffs like, carrot leaf, just stuff that normally you don't eat off of a vegetable, just laying around as you follow these tracks north of the river. And as you go north, you can constantly tell that the river is way lower than what it should be as you march on. And Harshnag points these things out to you. He says, there must be a dam north of here. The river grows lower the closer we get north. Is anybody going to ask me anything else as you're traveling along? I mean, you've got quite a few days to travel because I know where you're going, and you've only been on the road for like 4
I asked
days.
him how he's hunted them his whole life. What are some tips where we can take and show others of how to hunt these hill giants?
He said, tells you hill giants aren't hard to hunt, they're dumb. He said it's not hard to outsmart them. He said I would not call them worthy of a hunt as you
Oh, okay.
are talking about. He said, obviously, he's like, anytime hill giants are not worth my time. He's like, but as I said, the ordning's broken and I need to understand why these giants are doing what they're doing.
Okay.
He said, based on what you've told me in this map that you have shared, he said, giants are having their own agendas. They're all trying to place themselves in the hierarchy of giant kind, and I want to know this giant's thoughts. He said, and from there, maybe I can gather information. I have an idea of what is going on. And he said, if I'm right, things may be worse than what I expect.
But I have a theory. Hill giants, their ordering was the size, right? Gluttony? Like the more they eat?
To a degree, yes. He's like, my hill giant kin are the lower of the ordning.
It's not just said they're dumb.
He said they're dumb. They don't aspire to ever be anything greater than what they are eating. He's like,
They're
but
probably going to think of a better way to get higher in the hierarchy than what they've already been doing, just to a higher, to a greater degree.
he said it's true. He's like, but there's something they see that's going to put them at the top.
No?
And to have such idiocracy in charge, to lead giant kind, to sit at their council of hill giants is just disgusting. We do not need this kind ruling giant hierarchy. I refuse to answer to any hill giant if it calls upon my kind.
I can understand also too much.
And he's like, I mean to put an end to this. He was like, he's like, there's only certain types of giant I'd rather see at the top of the ordning, and I will not let a hill giant do such a thing. So this for me is more of, not only is it to end whatever these hill giants are up to, but it's also going to answer questions I may have.
Aye.
Anything else for him?
Keep on.
No, not really. Just, yeah, that's that.
Well, I mean, do you want to know about any other giants? You asked about the hill giants.
He told us earlier that the fire giants are just here for what they want, and
I mean, about ways to hunt them. He's going to tell you
Yeah.
for small folk, if you're going to hunt a giant, he takes his axe and he taps his knees like, you should always go for the legs. He said, if we stand taller than
Tendons
you,
and ankles.
he said, yes, the dwarfs should know. The dwarfs have been our ancient enemy for a long time and battled us over the millennia.
I asked him, once we get off on that, I asked him a lot of questions about the other giants, and I tell him why do the fire giants seem more militaristic?
He said, that's just...
These things I know out of game, but in game my character would ask him this kind of shit.
He tells you, my fire giant brethren are much like dwarven kind. They're inventors, forgers. They are militaristic. He said, you know, just we're my kin, the frost giant, my kind, we're the biggest of us, may rule. It's not always the same with fire giants. They lead through intelligence, not just strength and
Okay.
fear.
Now, the other giant I've always seen was the storm giant,
You see
Cloud
cloud
giant.
giant.
cloud giant. I asked him, do all the cloud giants fly on clouds?
Basically, for the most part, they do tend to live above the clouds.
And they're very random, to be honest. At least from what I've heard.
He said for Zephyros to even interact with you is very interesting and very worrisome. He said you should feel great favor is looked upon you if he's even interacted with you.
I have had them go visit sometime.
He said cloud giants tend to not even make landfall. They tend to stay amongst themselves and only interact with their kind or the storm giants. He said in the hierarchy before the ordning was broken, the cloud giants were almost at the top.
Have you heard anything from the storm giants now that you mention it?
He said
Because
he tells you that's why I was heading to the spy of the world. I have questions, I need answers.
Oh.
He said,
Is that who sits at the top of this thing?
the ordning, he said they did. And he said, why they're, he said, I need to know why the ordning was broken. He said, it's a question. He said, that question can bring apart more questions, but give us the biggest answer that I need. He said, he tells you, King Hikaton, he runs a place called Maelstrom out in the ocean, and his court is the court that all giant lords here in the north answer to. He said, I do need answers from him. Anything else? I mean, you're asking really good questions.
Well, I'll ask him if he gets a chance to go to the Maelstrom. Obviously, that's beyond us. We're not gonna go there. But if he found any helpful information about any going on the Sword Coast, if he would maybe share it with us.
Especially the last time I said the Dragons, I'll be much obliged.
He says, I will. He's like, by what you told me, obviously, these small folk have a fear of giant kind right now. He says, there are lords of Waterdeep who do know me. He's like, I do have allies there. He was like, but the sight of me there wouldn't do nothing to soothe the masses of the city.
Especially right now, they're in a hysteria.
He said, especially considering that if my kind are up and down the coastline, he said, no. He's like, but I will find some way to remain in contact with you and let you know what I know. He's like, if it is dire to the point that I think I need to show up to Waterdeep, I will. He said, I will be welcome there.
You can always count Greenfields Company as allies.
Greenfields Company?
Greenfields. Why did I say Greenfields?
That's the first time.
There for a while, I had to go back. I was like, do they call themselves Greenest or Greensfield? I'm like, okay, it's Greensfield Company.
Yeah, so.
Because Greenest is in Greenfield,
Right.
so.
So I tell him that, he can always count Greenfields Company as allies.
And he tells you
You
that.
did?
Said that is good. I see much of you that I've seen in my last company that I was in. It's like I can see big things coming from you.
So,
Yeah, that's just so small.
I have some very important questions that I just remembered I was gonna ask.
All right.
The Dwarven Queen, he may know.
What's that?
If he knows anything about, like, what all he knows about the
About
Titan,
Goldenfields?
this trap.
He knows. He tells you Titans are a rare thing in all the world. He says, I know of no Titan that you speak of with dwarves.
I tell him that there's a
You gotta remember, he said he's been gone for like
Yeah,
50
he's been
years
gone for
from
a
the
long
north.
time.
Quantum Grim. Guess does that like Quantum Grim happen like during that time frame?
Actually, Gauntlet Grim happened when he was leaving the north. That was like 50 years ago. You learned that last session
Yeah.
from Neverember.
So we tell him about
I'm gonna fill him in on that.
Clan Battlehammer
Taking over.
Gauntlet Ground.
He doesn't know nothing of Gauntlet Grim. He does not know
Tell him it was
anything
an
about.
ancient dwarven stronghold, and they came and started it back, and then they used the
It's
primordial
towards
over
the-
there to fire.
It's
the
believed to be the
furnaces.
first kingdom.
He tells you if the giants knew of this, this would not sit well with them, that their old enemies have gained a foothold in an old stronghold.
I think they do, don't they?
He says, I'm sure some of them do.
I'm pretty certain that the Quantum Grim kingdom has been talked about at least everywhere.
Yeah.
He says, surely if the battle hammers had moved in, the North knows by now.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything else you want to run by him? I mean, this is just over days. I mean,
Right. Just
I am going to
talking
ask
about
Buddha to send a sending back to the ocean.
and tell them what we're doing.
that might be smart. I've been
Yeah.
waiting on that
The
because
ocean or
at this time you've been gone about 4 days.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've got to run or they'll send
let
water.
them know that we're harrying a group of giants that attacked and plan to return. That and about the ordering. That's the big thing. Now we know why they're doing shit.
And they haven't told us about the ordering.
Basically, he'll tell you,
Tracking giants with Harshnag.
yeah, he'll tell you that's terrifying. He doesn't know who Harshnag is.
Wow, I figured he would.
No. Well, you're way older than him, so.
Yeah,
And I mean, he's talked in hushed tones, like he's been gone for 50 years from the north.
yeah.
No one's singing, so. You have, Leosin is not that, I think he's like maybe in his 70s, so.
Yeah.
He was very young when Harshnag had left the north. And he's not from the north, he's from
Yeah.
the south, so.
Well,
He wouldn't really know who
As soon as he starts
is.
talking to people, he'll find out that he's a legendary frost giant.
He'll tell you that. He tells you he'll spread it. He'll tell that information to the Lord's Alliance. He'll tell you the bickering has not gotten any better. He says, but they do have some small leads they're looking into on the cult, and he'll let you know if they find anything.
Alright.
He tells you, please, when you reach your destination and you find out what you find out, let him know.
Can't do.
Apologize for the inconvenience of us leaving.
Okay, about to speed this up unless you got anything you can think of that you want to ask him.
We can speed it up. Fine.
Huh?
Let's
We
speed
can
it up.
speed it
I mean,
up.
unless you got something else you want to ask him.
No, I think it's
I
it.
mean, you're asking really good questions. You're asking him information actually that you need to know. But here's the thing: he's not giving out anything unless you ask. Because, like I said, he's not a talker.
I think we've asked just
Trying to think of something else we
everything.
know,
But
because he said he hasn't heard any of those dragons or any cult.
No, he doesn't know anything about the dragons or about. He knows who the cult is, and he was very put off that they're even over in this direction.
I would just ask him if he would think that any giants would work with the cult.
If it benefited them, yes. He said you have to think now. Giants are looking to gain favor. He said if they could somehow use a dragon to their advantage, that will boost them up in the hierarchy. He said yes.
Which giant kind or a clan or whatever that you know of would be most likely to work with the dragons? Any of them?
He says depends on your dragons. He's like it's not uncommon for my kind and the white dragons of the north to have uneasy alliances. It works both ways. Frost giants will capture white dragons. They will raise white dragons as pets, protectors of their land and of their treasure.
Right.
White dragons will enslave clans of frost giants if powerful enough. He's like, but there are times that they will work together. Just depends on the
Situation.
intelligence of
The
both
individual.
sides. Yes.
Well, I'll tell him the color of the dragons that we did see. The blue.
We killed a young green one. Wasn't very old. But the other ones, they were quite massive.
Mm.
He tells you, by what you've told me, I see no reason why any frost giant or giant of that kind would want to join such a thing as that. There seems to be no power in a raid like that to just take loot that they already had. That doesn't benefit anybody.
That's what we can't figure out. But since the two things were happening kind of simultaneously, we thought it might be connected.
He'll tell you, he believes by what you told him and that he's tracked these giants. He said, you were just happenstance. You were there. These giants were marching north and seeing
Just
an
came
opportunity to gain supplies.
Georgia! I am done.
He said, he's like, I think none of it is tied together. He said, but what is bad is if you have dragons attacking caravans and stealing treasure, and you do have these individual giant raids going on. He said that does not bode well for the small folk. You're defending yourself not only from my kind, but from creatures we would believe could be more intelligent than us, more ferocious than us.
Yeah.
He said, I've battled my fair share of dragons. He's like, but have I ever faced one that is ancient and been around for millennia? He said, no. And he's like, He's like, would I relish the battle? Yes. Do I fear such a battle? Yes. He said, I do know in my age there are dragons that have outlived me 4 or 5 times in my lifetime, and I do not wish to ever come across one of them. He's like, but I can promise you if I ever do, he's like, I will be the first to bear weapons against it. Anything else?
That'll be at the second.
Okay. As you're moving closer, you're on day 6. Roll me perceptions.
So disadvantage.
Yeah. We'll have advantage.
1. -1. 0.
19.
I got
Minus 1.
16, or Roosty got 13.
Okay. I need to know, hey, you guys are just walking along, right? Okay. What do you have?
19.
Vesper?
16,
Or Lucier?
13.
I roll for Ripper real fast, but I have a 0. He has a 9.
Okay. You guys see it. It's just a matter of them seeing you, because you're not trying to hide, right?
Right.
Never know.
I'm always trying to dodge of it.
We're the giant. I don't think we can hide.
Harshnag doesn't see this, but you hear this screeching roar,
Oh God.
and as you guys look up, this sees you, and you see what you think is a dragon with a rider on top.